folks, welcome back to My Kitten Reads. I'm Eleanor and this is a slightly belated June wrap-up video. So yay! I do apologise if the lighting is a bit odd. I got a new phone which doesn't have a headphone socket, which means I can't actually plug my light in properly. So it's kind of propped up. So any odd lighting stuff, I do apologise. I'm still trying to figure out. This is the first thing I've filmed on this new phone. But yes, June wrap up. I did not read as many books as I wanted to in June. I only read 6. Finished 6. I did make significant progress on a few more, but didn't get them finished in time for June. I think having library books out did not do me a great deal of favours, because I did the me thing, I got contrary, and I didn't read them as fast as I should. And in fact, only read one of the 3 and then had to return them all. Some of them already overdue. So, I think the best thing for me for the moment is to steer myself away from library books. I can look into them again at the end of the year because I am now 2 books behind schedule on my overall goal for the year. So I should probably, focus a little bit. But I did read 6 books and some of them were really, really good books. So here we go. So I read A Master of Djinn by Djèlí Clark, which I have been waiting for since I heard it was come out, and I pre-ordered it, and oh my goodness, I love that book so much. So this is the same universe as The Haunting of Tramcar 015, and the other sort of, I think there's another novella and a short story, or novelette and short story in that universe. I don't think I've read the other short story. But anyway, so this is this alternate Cairo where Djinn have been brought back into the world in the 19th century and therefore given Egypt power. So this is the first novel. And so we're following Agent Fatma, who is in one of the previous stories, as things start to get a bit weird. So there's this, it starts with this secret society run by Englishmen who are trying to collect artifacts from the famous missing guy who was the one that brought back the Djinn. And then they're all murdered really weirdly by someone. And so there's this mysterious figure running around claiming to be the guy who they were searching for, who's just murdered all these really high-profile Englishmen. And there's a peace conference about to happen. This is in the early 1900s, so just pre-World War I. And there's something magical going on, and Agent Fatma has to figure it out. So, and it's really good. It's really got that, like this whole universe does, that real kind of Agatha Christie mystery kind of feeling to it, but with, you know, magic and diverse and funny, and I just loved it so much. I devoured it. So that's A Master of Djinn by Djèlí Clark. It also counts as an author of colour and a queer book because Agent Fatma has a female lover. So yeah, that's a really good start to the month. Really enjoyed myself. Then I finished Uncanny magazine issue 38. I did not actually make any notes about any specific story in this Uncanny magazine, and I think I rated it 3.25 on a Storygraph, which I've started using for more nuanced personal notes and stuff. So essentially that means this particular issue was reasonably enjoyable, but none of the stories or essays really stuck out at me. So I think there was one by Paul Cornell, and I think there was one by Sam J. Miller, whose work I've really enjoyed before, but I didn't note anything down. I don't really remember the stories very well. So it was sort of enjoyable, but not the best issue of Uncanny I've ever read, basically, or not the best, not the most connected to me issue I've ever read. So that was Uncanny. Then I started a bit of a Seanan McGuire binge and read books 2 and 3 of the October Day series, which were A Local Habitation and An Artificial Night. So a local habitation involves Toby in basically investigating a series of murders in the niece of her lord's territory, which is also like they're trying to combine the niece's goal is to try and combine technology with Fae in order to make life easier in the modern world and to keep Fae alive. But her employees keep getting killed. So Toby investigates and things go very, very strange and very dangerous, as it usually does with Toby, I'm finding out. And then in an artificial night, we see a whole bunch of children go missing. Both Fae children and mortal children. And it turns out there's one of the old ones is at fault because he's I can't remember exactly what they called him, but like a huntsman, and he rides with a hunt, but his hunt, like the horses are actually tortured mortal children, and his huntsmen are Fae children, and he comes once every 100 years and takes more children, but he takes the wrong children this time, and Toby has given herself a quest to get the children back and to defeat this really old Fae, one of the children of the original Oberon and his paramours. So yeah, that was exciting and quite dark, but yeah, I really enjoyed that as well. Then I took myself away from Toby Day for a bit, despite buying a whole bunch, because I did have some other things to do. But I got so bogged down that I then ended up, and these are the other two books, I ended up reading two new Jane Austen variations by some of my preferred authors. So I read Mr. Bennet Leaves His Study by Sydney Salier, in which about a year or so before the events in the usual book, Mr. Bennet leaves his study, ticks off Lydia, and decides to take a greater interest in his wife and daughters and in their education, and that changes the way things happen further on. Yeah, so that's good. That was fun. And I read In Default of Asmail. In Default of Asmail, it's by Jann Rowland, who you've heard me talk about a lot. This was a new one. And in this one, it starts, Mr. Bennet has passed away, and Elizabeth is waiting for Mr. Collins to turn up, only for it to be discovered that Mrs. Bennet is pregnant. And so the inheritance of Longbourn is up in the air, because if Mrs. Bennet gives birth to a son, he will inherit. And at this point, the other thing that's changed is that Colonel Fitzwilliam has actually inherited a fortune from a distant relative, resigned from the army, and he is the one that leased Netherfield and brought Mr. Darcy and his sister and his cousin Anne and cousin Georgiana to stay at Netherfield, and Mr. Bingley had to lease another estate in Meryton. And so things go a bit differently because Darcy is in a much better mood. He's with his family. His family takes a liking to the Bennet girls, who have just come out of their deep mourning into half mourning, and things go along a lot better. So yeah, but then other issues pop up as well. So yes, that was what I read in June. Only 6 books, unfortunately, but you know, some good ones. So you know, I really loved A Master of Djinn. I'm really enjoying the Toby Day series, so those two were great. And I really enjoyed the Austen variations, as I always do. They're a bit of a comfort read. I did make more progress on a couple of other books, some of which I have now finished, so I'll talk about them in my July wrap up. But I'm going to have to get cracking a little bit, because I'm a little bit behind schedule on my reading goals for the year, and I might actually end up doing a video about where I am with all of them. I need to check actually exactly where I am with all of them. So yeah, apologies for the delay in getting this to you, and apologies for any dodgy lighting. If you want to discuss any of the books, comment down below, subscribe, and I'll see you all again really soon. Bye.